Hey everyone, so I've just made a new blog post on my website on how to set up WordPress backups completely for free. The blog post is here and I'll leave a link in the description as well if you want to read it. What I wanted to do is go through just the most basic WordPress backup setup that you could implement onto your own WordPress website today, completely for free. If you want more information on better backup solutions, definitely read the article that I've made and try to implement at least some of them. But what we'll do is we'll go over to my new WordPress website here. So what we want to do is go to the plugins and add a new plugin. And in here we will search for UpdraftPlus. And once this has found it, we want to install now. And this will just take a couple of seconds. Once it's installed, we'll get an option to activate. Perfect. Let's activate the plugin. Awesome. And then down here on the left hand side you should see UpdraftPlus. Okay, so we've just installed the plugin and there's nothing set up. If we ran a backup right now, what this would do is save the backup files to your web server. We don't want that because if someone gains access to your website, they have access to the backup files as well and they can just delete everything. So what's the point in the backup? What we want to do is come over to settings. And the first thing you want to set up is the schedule for the database and the files. So right now this is manual. What we will do is set this to weekly. So every week we're going to get a new automatic backup ran. What we also want to do is tell it to keep the last 8 versions. Now you can change these depending on what you want, but this is really useful for, say, something's gone wrong on your website, but you didn't notice it at first. Maybe it went wrong 2 weeks ago. So telling it to keep 8 of the last backups means that you have some breathing room to go back further in time to see what went wrong and restore from that backup. If we scroll down further, you can choose remote storage. Now please always have some remote storage set up. Don't just leave it as the default because like I say, if someone gets access to your web server, then they will have access to the backups and they can just delete everything and you have no data, no way to restore. What we'll be doing today is the Google Drive. So we'll select this option, scroll a bit further down, and then we can click sign in with Google. And we'll click leave. So what we'll be doing is we'll be using this account here. This is just a dummy account that I've created for the purpose of this video. So we'll click next. So we want to select this option here to allow Updraft to see, edit, create and delete only the specific Google Drive files that we use within the app. So what this means is that this plugin will be able to create, edit and delete the backup files as we've specified, but it won't have access to anything else in your Google Drive. So we'll click continue. Perfect. Okay, so now this is where it gets a little bit confusing. So to complete setup for Google Drive, press the button below. This will take you back to the Updraft settings on the site. You will then be able to send backups to Google Drive. So what we'll do is we will click this button here to complete setup. Okay, and this should take us back to here. And we'll see here you have authenticated your Google Drive name ambient world and we've used 0 amount of that storage. So even though we specified all these details, if we come back into the settings, you'll see that nothing seems to be set up for the remote location. So we'll click Google Drive again. And then what we'll do is not select anything and just click Save Changes. Perfect. If we come to backup and restore and then back over to settings, it'll now say that we are authenticated. So we'll come back up to restore. We'll come back to backup and restore and we'll run another backup. And now we've got this option to send the backup to remote storage. So that's just something to be aware of. It's a fairly weird UI tweak that they need to make. So every time you try to sign into the Google account, it will take you off of the settings page and it won't seem to save that setting. So if we back up now, and again, I will cut back to when this is completed. I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, awesome. So the backup has finished running, so we can click close. And the way to see in here if it's actually gone to the Google Drive is down here for the existing backups. You'll see the first one we ran doesn't have the Google Drive logo. This one does. And if we come over to my drive, I've now got a UpdraftPlus folder with all the necessary files that I need. So that's it. That's Updraft taking automatic weekly backups of my website. So if anything goes wrong, if I get hacked, if the web server goes down, if something crashes, I've got something reliable that I can just install a new WordPress instance on a new web server and restore that backup. Super easy. What you can also do inside here is you can use the restore, you can delete backups as well, and you also get the option to download the backup data, so you can download the database, plugins, themes, uploads and others. So that's everything you needed to do. So I would recommend reading my article because it goes over some of the more best practices of website backups and backups in general. So this is just a single backup that you have on your Google Drive. So it is fairly unlikely where if your website gets hacked and you also lose access to your Google Drive, then you've got no backup. So what I would recommend is trying to implement what we call the 3-2-1 rule. So this is having 3 copies of your data with at least 2 different media types, one of them offline. And the example I use in my article is, so you've got the WordPress website here at the top, and every day at 9 o'clock in the evening you have a backup. One of the backups go to the Google Drive, exactly how we've done in this tutorial. Another one goes to an FTP, so this could be, for an example, an FTP server that you have running at your home or your business. And then it could be someone's job, weekly, monthly, however often you want this to happen, to connect a USB drive, download one of the backups or all of the backups, and then store that backup offline on the USB stick, so that even if all of these systems got infected, you had a fire at your office or your home, you lost your FTP, Google Drive you lost access to, your website's been crashed and demolished by hackers, you've still got that USB drive that you could potentially restore from. So that's everything I wanted to cover today. If you've got any other topics that you wanted me to go through for your WordPress, best practices, or optimal setups, anything at all, post a comment, make sure to like if this helped you, and subscribe for more content.